Welcome to episode 41 of the Daft Previews podcast. My name is Dan. I'm joined by my man Luke. Before we get to hear all of our best bets for this round of the NRL, shameless plug. You got to join your lads in the Discord. It's free to join. It's Punters United. The Discord link will be in the description. Have a gaze and get amongst it. My best bets for this week, you're going to have to write this down. Looking at total points of the Brisbane Broncos over 41.5. We're looking at under 18.5 points for the Canterbury Bulldogs versus the Roosters. Looking at Melbourne Storm to absolutely smash the Newcastle Knights minus 19.5. And my value play for the week is for David Nofaluma to score more tries than whoever the fuck the other winger is for the Dragons at $3.10. You can get that son of a bitch for $20. Say what?
Fino, wasn't it?
Fino.
Yep.
Noff is going to take him down. Other things. Follow us on Dabble. Your boy's been cleaning up. We're getting new followers every single day. Facebook and Instagram. Follow the lads and get amongst it. Luke, over to you, my man. What are you looking at for this week?
So another 3-in-1 week from myself. So since I've been switching up and giving out my best bets, I'm very much in profit. 3 games, 4 bets this week. So Sharks minus 11.5 against the Broncos. I've got the Roosters. There's 2 bets in this game. I've got Roosters to cover the line, minus 13.5 against the Dogs, and also under 39.5 points in that game total. And then I've got Para to cover the line at 10.5 versus the Cowboys. If you put them all in a multi and do a little same game or a doubles multi, depending on what bookmaker you use, you get about 15-1 on that multi. So
15-1. We got close last week. You were 3-1. I was 4-1.
2 weeks
back
in a row.
The singles. Well in the profits. We're warming into the season well.
We are. I think also with the teams starting to hit form, we are too. So we are an NRL unit at the moment.
Yeah, well, I called it last week, right? I said, the top teams are really starting to flex a little bit. Your Melbournes, your Penriths, absolutely dominating, and we're very much the same. Exactly. I went to Melbourne for my 21st, so I pretty much represent the Storm. You're from the foot in the mountains, so Penrith all over. Absolutely dominating. I have checked other podcasts around NRL. We're not doing as well as us. So a bit of a shout out to us on that one.
Yeah, we'll take that victory.
We're absolutely taking it. I did some reflecting last week. The podcast was a bit long. Part of it was your fault, but 98% of it was probably mine. So going to do my absolute best to stay on topic this week. So for those of you who are listening, strap in. It's not going to be a long one, but it's going to be high energy, high intensity.
Minimal digressing. Apart from this.
Digressing. So what I've done is I've actually put some bullet points down and some things I want to get off my chest nice and early. So that way we can just stay on topic for the rest of this podcast. The very first one, just wanted to let anyone know listening who isn't in this, isn't in our Discord, that the AFL, I don't even know what it stands for, but she's been popping off lately. We got ourselves a brand new tipper who's absolutely delicious. All tips that we have in our Discord are absolutely free. So if you're an absolute degenerate and bet on things that you don't understand, like myself, get on the AFL and join us in the Discord. The second thing I wanted to talk to you about was something we spoke a bit about offline.
Yeah.
And I told you not to talk about it yet because I think that's worth talking about on the podcast. For the life of me, I don't remember what it is.
2 up.
2 up, yes, Anzac Day. Quick shout out to all the to all those who have served,
and currently serving as well,
and getting served. Speaking of getting served, how about that bloke at the Broncos game?
Oh, I tell you what though, like obviously we don't condone violence, but
I do.
I don't get I've spent the best part of the last 4 days being very intoxicated, and I went to 2 games. I went to the Penrith Canberra game, as you're aware, and also went to the game yesterday at the SCG. I'll never understand. In both games I was very intoxicated, but not once did I ever think about doing something during a minute silence. Like for me, you were raised through your life.
I was watching it. I didn't even do it at home.
You just know, and that bloke got everything he deserved.
And he was a white fella too, like fucking.
He was someone who looked like he would be patriotic, and
he's got a Southern Cross tattooed on him somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a very good start to the week, that video surfacing. So
yeah, it was pretty good. And I was glad we didn't see many streakers. I prefer a bit of violence within the stands.
Yeah.
So So that was pretty good. I've got a bit of a confession to make,
Mhm.
and I don't know if you're aware of this, but I have never played 2 Up before.
Wow, really? Is there a reason
Never,
why?
ever, ever. I don't know, just probably a lack of confidence to get in there.
It's a very social betting.
It
It
is.
is, yeah. It's a very it's very social, and it's an ultimate 50-50 game. So I played at 2 venues yesterday in Sydney. The first one were very cramped for space. It was a smaller pub. But my theory when you go down there, for those of you who don't know, and to our international listeners, because we are worldwide right now, so I've been informed earlier again offline, is basically you flip 2 or 3 coins, usually do 3 coins, and then whichever one has the majority of the heads or tails wins. So you basically, before you bet, you got to find someone similar to the bookmakers. They're taking you on. You find someone who wants to bet on heads and you're betting tails, for example. You announce the bet. Heads keeps the money. And then whatever happens, either heads gives tails the money or heads keeps the money. So my theory has always been, go to these venues and just bet tails every time because you don't hold the money. So if you're betting $50 on tails, you give someone the 50, it's same sports bet, then it lands tails. You get the satisfaction of someone paying you out and giving over the money as a loser. And then also you don't have to feel that way in reverse. So first pub I went to was 50-50. I think it was about 10 spins I've seen, 5 heads, 5 tails. The second pub, mate, tails ran hot. I reckon another 12 spins I was there, 8 or 9 of them were tails. It was running red hot. If you stuck with me on tails, you were cleaning up. So yeah, bit of fun. At the end of the day, if you're down, you just go put it in the pokies anyway, or if you're up, you put it in the pokies. So
The
which I did.
government gets their money, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
That's why they condone a bit of 2 Up.
Yes.
Me being a bit of a cheeky bastard, someone in the Discord was like, "What is 2 Up?" Right? And I was like, "This is a great opportunity for me to be an absolute daft prick here, just to be as silly as possible." So my response to him is that 2 Up is a game that's commonly played in pubs, and it's only played on Anzac Day. It's illegal to play it any other day.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And then I was like, so what you need to do is you go into the pub and you have to stick 2 fingers up somebody's ass. And if they flinch, you win. But if they don't flinch, you lose. And it's like all it is a lot of people walking around slipping their fingers up each other's ass within a pub, but it has to be 2. If it's any more than 2, you're disqualified because it's 2 Up for a reason. And I was just chuckling for a very long time.
Until that bloke's got a sexual assault case.
So
calling you
next year,
in
you
as a
look out.
witness.
For anybody listening to this, if you ever get fingered in a pub on Anzac Day, that is because of me. I want you to think of me, but just make sure you don't flinch. Because if you don't flinch, you can win yourself some cash.
There you go.
But yeah, that's those are the 2 things I wanted to talk to you about 2 Up. And yeah, cheeky little giggle. Let's get into this round of football, shall we?
Yep.
It's pretty sad, we don't have Monday night football anymore. Shit, that was good for the last fortnight.
I'll tell you what, it's quick. Even this week, quick turnaround. It's beautiful. 48 hours the next game.
We got a quick turnaround. So, I guess you're looking at pretty much the biggest clash of the round. First game up. So, Thursday, 28th of April, 7:50 p.m. at Suncorp Stadium. It's my beloved Brisbane Broncos versus the Cronulla Sharks. The Cronulla Sharks are $1.28 favourites. The Broncos at $3.75. The line is 10.5 points. And if you're looking at totals, 41.5 points. For the Broncos, surprise, surprise, Kevy hasn't made any changes to his spine. I know he won the game last week, but shit, Billy Walters was terrible. He was just throwing the game. Someone put a bet on Canterbury. And for the Sharks, they've only got one change, but it's a bloody big one. Skipper Dale for Nukin returns. Cam McInnes goes back to the bench. So both teams relatively healthy, coming into this game with some somewhat okay form. What are your thoughts on this one? Because I'm obviously biased in my opinion on this game, so I'd love to hear yours.
Yeah, for me at the moment, if you look at the ladder, the top 4, Penrith, Melbourne, Para, Cronulla, I don't think anyone would disagree that's the top 4 teams right now. Then I think it's a bit of a gap between the rest of the pack again. So you're taking Cronulla team who showed against Melbourne they can compete with them. They did get done comfortably in the end, but again, Melbourne and Penrith are levels above everyone. But they gave Melbourne their best game since Para did, who are another top 4 team. Playing against the Broncos team, who at the start of the last week's game, I thought, oh my god, when Addo went in for 2 tries, I thought this isn't looking very promising. But then Dog shut the bed and Broncos clicked a bit. So I think Cronulla can cover this line. So I think Cronulla at the moment are genuine contenders because they should, at the moment, the way they're going, finish in the top 4. I think the Roosters aren't good enough. Manly are very patchy. So I think the Sharks, and to win the comp, you basically have to be in the top 4. And these are the games they've got to win. They've got to win them comfortably. They're grinding out wins against Brisbane in Brisbane, similar to the Roosters, and you're going to find yourself on some end of other results like the Dragons did to them yesterday. So I've got them covering the -11. I think Finucane's a massive in for them. I think Talakai against Katoni is a big battle. But I think just the class of Cronulla at the moment is too good. I think Cronulla don't have a lot of depth and they are a few injuries. That's when you'll see the squad get stretched. Wade Graham is named on the extended bench, but he is literally boy corner. He is one knockout away, which is coming any minute anyway. So I wouldn't, even if he was named last minute, I wouldn't be too confident he gets through 80, that guy at the moment. So
yeah, I wouldn't put him in there knowing that fucking Flegler's playing, like
headhunting.
He'll end your career.
Yeah. So I've got him to cover, basically. But it shouldn't be a bad game.
Surprise, surprise. I'm slightly offended by that.
I backed yours last week. I get a chance. All right.
No, we won't let you down. That's the thing. That's what the Brisbane Spirit's all about. It's about backing up after a good win. No, we got the cookies last week, but I must tell you, I was still pissed off after that game. I wasn't happy about it, and partly because when the Broncos were down, I bet them to win 1-12. I bet overs and Brisbane 1-12, and the bloody bastards blitzed them.
Yeah, that's funny.
Paying $8.50, put a sneaky pineapple on it. So, probably a bit upset with that. But no, the first half was awful. Like there was no line speed whatsoever. We were giving away penalties. Billy Walters was just full of errors, and then it all clicked. But when I was watching that game, we speak a bit about rushing defenses.
Yeah,
I knew the Dogs were going to jam in, and about 5 minutes in, I was like, Tony's not going to score anything unless they put an early kick in. I was saying it the whole time. Early kick, early kick, early kick. There was no early kick until the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Scored like 2 tries from going early. So they clearly didn't hear me. So I'm going to have to message Kevy on Instagram during the game, and hopefully he checks it. But my pick on this one is for the overs. I like the 41.5. Brisbane have gone overs in their last 3 games, but they're also defensively quite fragile. They allow their opponents to go over. They allow their opponents to go over in the last 3 games. So another option is probably to take the overs on Cronulla, whatever it is, whether it's 26, 28.5. I'm sure you can check that out for me while I'm dribbling here.
Yes, I can.
But Cronulla have also gone well over in their last 2 games. Some very high scoring games. That Manly game was a bloody monsoon out there. It was like 50-kilometer winds at one point, and they still managed to score 50-odd points. Like it was ridiculous. It's just going over. Cronulla's attack absolutely singing at the moment. I do like watching them play. Their left side is beautiful to watch. Unfortunately, Brisbane's right side, not very much. Jordan Ricky's been caught out of the line many times in his career, and I think he gets caught out again. The Talakai-Katoni battle, that's mouth-watering. We've got, just sheer power versus explosiveness. They're both quite powerful, but Katoni is more explosive. So he'll have to utilize his speed a little bit more. Cobbo played a very strong game, so he's starting to really warm into this season. Can't pass, probably won't pass the ball till next year, but he's running really well and he's scoring some tries. So I'm looking for a high-scoring match. Brisbane, great rugby league conditions, and for them to go over that 41.5 points.
Boom. 25.5 is the Cronulla
25. So I guesstimated 6. If it was, I would take them up to 28 or 27.5. So, absolute degenerates. If you want to bet against the Broncos, just pick on Cronulla to go overs as well.
And the quick stat on the Broncos have lost 12 straight Thursday night games.
We hate them.
So I don't know why you get Channel 9.
We don't like playing during the day. We don't like playing on Thursdays and Sundays. Friday nights only. But, we've been disrespected. Tough draw, tough draw. But this is how good teams bounce back. We, take it on the chin. We work hard for each other. It's about giving 110% to the boys, What do we have? Your Filthy Friday kicks off at 6 p.m. Seabus Super Stadium. It's Gold Coast Titans versus the Penrith Panthers. Panthers, not surprising here, $1.10 favourites. I'm sure that's going to come in. Titans at $7. The line is 18.5. Total match points 42.5 points. For the Titans, we see AJ Brimson go back to fullback. Will Smith goes to 5'8". Look, it only took the Titans 4 games to get rid of Jermaine Asako. I was saying it for years when he was at Brisbane. He's not a fullback. He doesn't deserve to be there. It took the Broncos years, but it took the Titans 4 games. So they're figuring that out. Phil Sami's back. Patrick Herbert returns to the centre, and Dave Fafita and his failed attempt at being a centre moves back to the forwards. That pushes Kevin Proctor to the bench. Mate, that guy was just giving away so many penalties last week. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. Him and Billy Walters, if you had them in a multi for the biggest fuckwits for the round, he was loving it every single time. Jaden Campbell is listed on the reserves. He was on the reserves last week, so he might be a chance at returning at fullback. For the Panthers, Sonny Luke, he was really good. Is he's gonna be your starting 9, or is that other guy gonna be your starting 9 next year?
They might. If Sonny Luke can stay fit, they probably would go with him. He's a bit more explosive and creative.
He's more happy like.
He's more happy, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whereas Mitch Kenny's more your
Andrew McCulloch.
Yes. And the fact that Penrith have a fullback in Edwards who's not the explosive, creative fullback.
Yeah, you need an uppy type.
You probably need the 9 to be a bit more explosive. Where if you look at Melbourne over the years with Cam Smith, they've had, Billy Slater, Pappenhausen. They've had explosive attacking fullbacks. So that's what I think they're trying to lean toward. I think they're trying to mold someone as quick as they can to be like Appy, which he can be. So yeah, he was very good on the weekend.
Yeah, I reckon it could be Mitch Kenny for their first 20, 30 minutes. Penrith don't really explode out of the blocks anyway. They kind of just suss things out, find out where your weaknesses are, and just start pushing your buttons until you don't want it anymore. So I think they'll be all right with that. Appy. He's going to be a big loss if it wasn't Penrith, but solid team all around. What are your thoughts on this one? Do you think your boys cover this 18.5? What are you thinking?
Gun to head, I'd say yes, but this Penrith haven't.
What about on the 2 fingers near your ass?
I'm tensing.
You're going to clench up?
Yes, because Penrith haven't been on the road much this year. They've played 5 home games, 2 away games. And one of their away games.
So they've had an easy draw, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and we're arrogant, and everything that everyone says about us is true.
Yeah.
But our away games this year, we went and played St George. They actually kept it competitive and close. We weren't as fluent. Yes, there was no Cleary at that point. And same with the game in the Bulldogs. We only won by 20 against the Dogs, and you can see that game there. We were all right, but we went to sleep a bit against them. So we're not as dominant on the road as we are at home. And I think if this game was at home, you're probably only going to get similar to the Canberra game, 21.5. I think it was 19.5. I got Panthers last week. So the line is identical for Penrith to play at the Titans home ground. And I think the Titans are better than Raiders. So I'm not super confident taking it despite Penrith blowing Canberra off the park.
Yeah.
If I had to pick a line bet, I would take it. But what I think the real value is Penrith 1-12 at about $4.10. Penrith do have a very, very difficult few games coming up. They play Para the following Friday back in Penrith. Then Magic Round, they're up to play the Melbourne Storm, which is the biggest game of the year. The Fox League are jizzing in their pants because they've got that 7:30 time slot on them Saturday night, and it's that the whole country is going to be watching that game.
I can't believe they have that on a Saturday.
Yeah, it's the showpiece event. This is it. That is easily the biggest game of the season because
I swear if Michael Ennis is commentating on that game, I'm going to have to watch it on mute.
I probably have to because it's every person's going to be so keen to see how good these two teams are because at the moment they're just blowing teams off the park. So yeah, I'll take the line, but for a multi, I might put Penrith 1-12 just because I think there's a little bit there's some value there, and then you could sprinkle some of the anytime try scorers, but they're very short still. Taylor May's now $1.48 to score anytime. He's really come in.
Yeah.
Crichton, $2.02 with his own first hat trick last week.
I know. They went right a lot last week. I was
They did.
expecting left side domination.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. Lucky Taylor scored. I needed that to hit my multi, but
Yeah.
they went right a lot.
Which again could be a thing with Sonny Luke. Sonny
Yeah.
Luke did play a lot of junior football with Cleary. So he may preference going to the right more often with Cleary calling it, because obviously both halves will call it a lot, but yeah.
Whereas Appy's his own man.
Yeah.
It's like, I do what I want. Yeah, I think for me, I'm not touching this game. Penrith will win, but how much, I do not know. Like you said, they are on the road. Gold Coast played their worst game of the year last week. They've been, the score lines have been competitive, and they have been competitive in the match, but I think they've relied on the second half comeback. And then last week, it just didn't happen. Like,
Yeah.
fucking Cowboys had Nanai in the bin. Speaking of fucking Nanai, rocks and diamonds, honestly.
He's given
Unfucking believable.
he's taken the title from Hiku in that team.
And they've got him as a bolter for State of Origin. If that guy ever plays State of Origin.
Oh, good night.
Oh, God. Like, we'll either lap New South Wales by 30 or we'll get dusted by 30 just because of him.
Yeah.
But
basket.
he went to the bin and the Titans still couldn't score. Absolutely awful showing. So one thing I was thinking about is the top teams are really starting to flex. And I was thinking, I had this narrative in my head, could Penrith be aroused by Melbourne's scoreline and think, we could put something like that on this week? But then I thought about it as well. Penrith aren't like Melbourne.
I think it's flipped from 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Penrith were the team that were putting points on everyone, but Melbourne were just grafting away. And then when it come to grand final day, once one little thing didn't go Penrith's way in attack, Melbourne just punished them and punished them and punished them. And I think that's where they're at this year.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at the Melbourne's games where South pushed them, Para beat teams that grind and can stay with them, they don't like, but they can be a big, good flat track bully.
If people want to just bash them, like, it becomes very close.
Yes.
So, I agree. It has flipped. But then I was thinking, I was like, Penrith they're not those type of guys.
No.
Like, it's as if they're a bit more regimented. You can see Melbourne is loose. Like, they do what they want because they've got every person within their spine is capable of winning the game. Yeah. Whereas Penrith isn't like that. Penrith are probably I'm thinking about it. I don't know Penrith are probably a better team. They work better together.
Yeah, they do.
They don't have better players, but they are a better team and they all work towards that common goal. And they do just really submit teams in it. So I was thinking they'll probably win convincingly, but how convincing? It's a lot of points. And then I was thinking about it, if AJ plays fullback, Brimson, I reckon he's their best shot at saving their season because the Titans are fucked. Like, they snuck into the 8, 10 and 14 last year, but snuck in nevertheless. And they were supposed to build on this year. They've got a lot of young players who are meant to get better. But they've been shit house since they moved Brimson. He's an excellent fullback. Yeah. At 6, he's doing nothing. Like, at 6, he grubbers and chases his own kick. Like, that's the best thing that he can come up with at the moment. Plus all the defensive stuff. It's limiting what he does in attack. I think him at fullback gives him more space, more time. And I think it's good for them for feeder back in the second row. And I think they've got to bounce back. Like, they need to be competitive here or they're absolutely fucked. But the one thing that worries me is in the press conference after their last game, Holbrook was like, look, we're just at a point where we're just trying something different. It's like, what?
Now's not the time, mate.
What do you mean? You're just trying something different. So, I don't know. Look, I'm going to avoid it, but if there were 2 fingers close to my ass, I would just, shit. What would I take? I would take Taylor May for a double.
Taylor May for a double?
He's a bloody machine. What are we looking at? $250, $3, $340 perhaps?
Good question. 2 or more tries. Taylor May, $335.
Oh, fuck! I should be a bookie, mate. It's not bad. It's $335. That's what I'll take. But look, I'll bet on that if I do a same game multi and try to juice it up because I think Penrith do score quite a few tries. But the question mark does Gold Coast score 1 try, or do they sneak in for 3? Like that's. I think Penrith is a lock to score between 20 and 30 points. Like, that's what I'm thinking. Penrith goes 20 to 30, but does Gold Coast go 6 or do they go 18? Either way, it's a convincing win for Penrith, right? But that 1 to 12 can happen. So, not touching it for my best bets, unfortunately. Speaking of tough games to pick, 7:55 on Friday evening at Central Coast Stadium in Gosford is the South Sydney Rabbitohs versus the Manly Sea Eagles. Souths are $1.60 favourites, Manly at $2.35. The line is -3.5. And if you're looking at total points, they're 39.5 points. For the Rabbitohs, Tane Milne's been suspended again. Jacob Host is out with a shoulder injury. Big ins for the Seagulls. Marty Tapau and Sean Kepi, they're back. Andrew Davey absolutely butchered his shoulder last week, and Sipley reverts back to the bench. But Ola Kawatu suspended, and Taniela Paseka, who cooked his knee, are out. So Ben Travojevic and our man, Kurt DeLewis. Did he even play last week?
I think he got some time on the field.
Did he get some time?
I feel like he did get on. Probably not now that I've said it, but yeah.
Well, anyway, Kurt DeLewis might get a run, but probably the biggest out. Morgan Harper's out, and Cooler's back in the centers. So I guess what made this difficult for me was that both teams lost last week. So they're probably up for this one. Feels like a must win. For the Sea Eagles, they finally get their props back. Last week I said tip against them. They got no fucking props. So they get Tapau and they get Sean Kepi back, but they lose Paseka, who's great off the bench. They lose Olakuatu, who's an absolute machine.
He's their strike weapon this season.
He's a freak.
Without Turbo, their tries, their players are going through him. They're missing. Yeah. They're not going.
I agree. So then I was a bit unsure. I was leaning towards South because, if you lose to the Tigers, you 100% win rate the next game. So then happened. How many wins do the Tigers have? One or two.
Two now.
So at the moment, it's hitting at 100%. Parramatta came out absolutely machines. They were shunned. Those players weren't welcome in their own home last week. So could South do the same thing and bounce back? I was like, not sure. But that's why I've got you. I don't have to come up with all the best bets for this bloody podcast. So what are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's very tough, but if I'm going to take, again, 2 fingers to the arse, and I don't want to flinch, South -3.5 is probably the way I go based on what you've pointed out. Tigers beat them last week, but then also they won the week before against Para, and they've backed up, so they've actually got some form there. And I think the biggest thing for Manly is Ola Kawatu. He is their go-to man for everything. Like, he in attack without Turbo, it's Cherry Evans, Shortboard, Ola Kawatu.
Yeah. You got Lorden and Bullimore in the second row.
They're really missing a lot of punch. That team just, without Turbo, already looked lacking in attack, and without him even further, without Ola Kawatu, they need, basically, their 3 biggest attackers are Ola Kawatu, Turbo, and Schuster, and they haven't got all 3. They're the 3 strike weapons they have, because at the edge back rowers play the short ball, and they've got Turbo sweeps around the back and make Saab and Garrick and, believe it or not, Morgan Harper look good. They don't have that, so I don't see them. There are a lot of points in them. Souths obviously will be a bit down on what happened last week, but I think there's a bounce back team, and they just look, on paper, they look so much better.
Yeah, they do.
Which makes you wonder how they lost to the Tigers last week, but as Tigers, they could be the dark horse now. So I'll take the -3.5 if I was going to have a bet there on it. That's probably what I would put in the multi, and then maybe just South 1-12 at $3.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I like it. I've already submitted mine, so I'll definitely be back in South when I put my multis together, though. It does look
they just have no strike in that team now. Even the week before, Grubber behind. Even Olakuatu, who they kicked to on Grubbers, they kicked behind for him. He's done two times that season, and then last week is that short ball to him. Otherwise, it's literally burrowing over. So,
well, he's better than Jai Arrow at kicking. I tell you that. My goodness.
Yeah, good field goal attempt.
Fucking hell, that was ridiculous. That game, I tell you. All right, cool. So we're both leaning towards South. We weren't man enough to chuck $100 on it as a single, though. But I may have been talked into it. I didn't really think about the Olakuatu factor too much. I was focusing more on the props, but now that you mention it, plus the big bounce back, you'd be embarrassed. So and if you've been living out of your car for the last week because you lost to the Tigers, I think you'd be pretty keen to rip in. So No, I do
Also,
like.
and also just on that one more point, the Manly form up until last week, they did come back against Cronulla, which was credible, but I think it was more Cronulla shutting up shop
Oh
or
yeah.
taking the foot off the pedal, because when they had the foot on the pedal
Oh
start, it was
yeah. They got out of the car.
32-0 at half time. But the wins prior, they beat the Titans, the Knights, the Raiders, the Dogs. So
Pretty
literally
easy.
three of the bottom three teams, and the Titans, who I think might be the fourth bottom team at the moment. Actually, it might be. Yeah, they've beaten the absolute shit,
Dredges.
the shit of the comp so far. So nothing to be wowed at. So
Yeah, that's true. All right, we're getting more confident the more we speak about it.
yeah,
Get south. That line's going to move, punters, and I'm telling you. Into your slutty Saturday. It's extra slutty again. We've got 3 games on.
she's moist again.
We've got kicking things off at 3 p.m. at Moreton Daily Stadium in Redcliffe. It's the New Zealand Warriors versus the Canberra Raiders. But basically a pick 'em in this one. Canberra slight favourite to the $1.80. The Warriors at $2. The line is 1.5. Total match points, you're looking at 40.5 points. For the Warriors, they've got a few changes. Dallin Wateni-Zelezniak clearly not playing after that sickening concussion. Like, fuck me.
Oh,
Nelson was jumping too. Like
do you
that
do
was
you notice
Masvidal.
we might never get Nelson on this podcast after this, but this is my opinion. He always seems to be catching players and stuff, and like I know like he looked like an accident and everything, but like it was Nelson again the week before that swinging arm. Like he just seems to be that person that
Yeah.
clobbers
It's
players a lot.
crazy. He hit him, right? He didn't even look back.
No,
Oh,
he didn't look back. He apparently went back after, though. It was clarified after the trial score. But he went like, surely you would have felt that on your knee and gone, "Off, I've killed someone." Like
he's dead.
if he murdered him, he was running from the crime as well.
I,
That's
I put it in the Discord chat. DWZ is dead. And
yeah,
then I was like, fuck, should I remove that? Because what if he's dead?
yeah. Then you're in trouble there, mate. Yeah, good.
Yeah. But I didn't remove it because I'm not a coward. But fuck, that was so bad. And Fox Sports, fuck me, they showed me the replay like 10 times. They just kept showing it. And I was like,
Didn't they not learn from Alex McKinnon? Like, don't show the
why?
replays until we
Yeah,
know he's okay. Like,
I know. They just kept showing it. He was out for ages. It was so bad. But look, Dallin's out. Thank God he's all right. Put up a post today saying he's all sweet. It's just a concussion. He passed all his tests, so hopefully he's back in no time. Josh Curran, his knee's fucked. Aaron Penne suspended. And Edward Coates, drops. He had a fucking shocker, but
poor
most
fella.
Warriors players did. They got a random bunch of blokes coming in, so no real game changes there. But for the Raiders, Elliot Whitehead is back. He fucked. Did you see the picture of his teeth in his mouth?
Yeah, that's probably the worst injury for me. Like, give me like your
Oh,
arm snapped and the bone sticking out over that any day.
oh my god! And what's crazy? It happened at training, right? Like Dallin's face didn't even look that bad, and Nelson
Yeah.
Masvidal'd him, right? Do we know what happened with Elliot Whitehead? What happened there?
They didn't say. He just says contact at training, but my guess is a head clash, like head on teeth or something. Like, there's no way you go on swinging arms and tackles because they don't contact
Oh,
training. Still, like it's like 75% contact. Like it's not like they'll rush up and put a hit on. They'll
yeah,
grab them and take them to wrestle them to the ground.
I see.
But that
Bit,
would be like a head clash or something, I guess.
bit of a head clash.
Or
Jesus.
or an old Nelson flying knee from a kick. They tripped over and went.
Nelson Masvidal.
Mm.
But he looks to be back on deck. Once again, Jared Croker is listed among the reserves. He's probably not going to get a run. Mate,
Remember when everyone thought he was going to break Cam Smith's point scoring record because he just had so much time left in him? Yeah, it's
I
gone
know.
now.
No, he's gone. Mate, Father Time comes for us all. He's undefeated. But what are your thoughts on this game? It really is a pick-up.
It
Like,
is.
these guys have been losing. Like, oh, mate, we've got some shit punters in Discord, and these guys lose more than them.
That's big call there because I've seen
Big
some of
call.
those.
You know
bets
who
and
I'm talking about if you're listening.
Yeah, and don't run from it. This game, like being at the game last Sunday, the Raiders looked pathetic, terrible, useless. But it was against Penrith at home again, which I harp on about all year in this podcast. Is the one thing I've been right about this whole time is Penrith at home, a different team. So you don't look too much into that, and then you look at the Raiders and their form versus the Warriors and their form. Raiders have not won on the road, but their road games this year, they've played the Cowboys, who have been very good at home. They played Manly at Brookvale. but I know they said they're shit. And Penrith. So I'm probably going to take the Warriors, but I'm not super confident because Josh Curran's out. I love Josh Curran as a footballer. But
Yeah, he's pretty good.
I think there is a bit of a bounce back factor in this game, and I just think the media aren't doing them, but people are talking about it, and that is Ricky Stewart, how he's not under pressure as a coach. And I've been saying
Mate,
it
you
for.
love talking about Ricky Stewart's
But
fucking
prove me
occupation.
wrong, Ricky. Prove me wrong, please. Prove me wrong this week. So I will take the Warriors to cover the line. It's what like the funniest thing is a team that has 70 put on them. A day and a half later, the market comes up and they're 1.5 point outsiders. You're probably get as favourites in some bookies. That's insane. But that's just how bad Canberra at the moment. So yeah, I'm just gonna take the Warriors, hold my breath, and hope it lands, but not super confident with it, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm leaning the same way. I do like the Warriors. I do like them. I think it's just that I like Warriors players better.
Yeah.
Like, that's my only reason for leaning towards the Warriors. Like, if I had half a brain, I just wouldn't bet on this game. I wouldn't watch it. But me being me, I already know I'm going to pick Jesse Arthurs to score, Ewan Aitken to score, probably Reece Walsh to get one. Like, I'm going to be an absolute dickhead and lose money on this game because I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, if I had to, I'd lean towards the Warriors at 1.5. But I can't even looking at total points. Like, this game could go 60 points, it could be 30 points. Like, you just never know with these shit teams. So
I do think the market is a bit hard on the Warriors because of that Melbourne game.
yeah, I think they should be favourites at home.
Because
Canberra
they've
haven't
won
won
3 games this year. The Raiders have won 2. Yeah, don't get me, it's not great, but the Warriors have won 3 games and the Raiders have won 2, and Raiders do not look like they should have won any more games. So I think they should be favourites, I think. But again,
Yeah.
it's the Warriors.
Yeah, I reckon we see a lot of forward tries from forwards in this game. I
Yeah,
reckon
possible.
Wade Egan's a good chance from out of 9. I reckon he goes over. Tarpanay's been going over. Papali'i's been a bit quiet, but he only does it in big games.
Yeah.
But Whitehead likes a bit of a try. Corey Haranira off the bench, he loves a good try. Man, that's what the Warriors are missing, eh? Bit of Ben Murdoch-Masila. Bit of try-scoring brilliance off your bench. But look, they have a lot of outs and they're still not playing him. So, if you sleep with the coach's wife, that's what happens. And, if you just start rumors like I do, you get hit by a car every now and then. And the world just balances out. So, look, let's not spend any more time on that game because we don't know what the fuck's going to happen. Let's get straight into this one. We do have a few opinions. These have 2 of your best bets on this one. So you better fucking dribble here, mate. At 5:30 p.m. at Accor Stadium, it's the Canterbury Bulldogs versus Sydney Roosters. The Roosters are $1.25 favourites after a shit show on Anzac Day. Canterbury at $4. The line is 11.5. I thought the bookies would push it to 12.5 just to fucking throw people off, but no. Total points are at 39.5 points. Looking at the team lineups, Brett Naden and Averillo return from COVID layoffs. Ockenball and Carraz are out. Carraz was really good. But he was covered in spiders, as they would like to say. But he was good. Couldn't handle the cramps though, but he was pretty solid. For the Roosters, Kevin Nagama comes on the wing. Daniel Tupou suspended for that. That high tackle was only a high tackle. He didn't hit him anywhere else.
Yeah, that was literally a headshot.
And then the ref goes, "It's not as bad as it looks."
I was at the game, and I'll tell you, I couldn't believe it when it happened. He stayed on the field. That was remarkable.
Far out. If that wasn't Ravalawa,
if that was Ravalawa,
imagine if
Victor,
that was Ryan
or Flegler,
imagine if that was Pappenhausen who got hit.
Yeah.
Oh.
But imagine if that was Jared Hargraves, Victor
if
Radley.
That was Jaden Sewer.
If it was any of those players, they'd gone for 10 weeks.
Yeah, so that was crazy. But yeah, so Tupou suspended, Nagama's back. Jared Hargraves and Victor Radley are back starting. They were on the bench last week.
Yeah.
I don't understand the science behind that, but if you're purposely going to throw the first half and try to win it in the second like you normally do, it makes a bit of sense. But look, I'll kick it off in this one because I know you got a few hectic plays on it. I personally am not betting on this game. Actually, that's a fucking lie. I am betting on this game. I'm just not betting on somebody to win. Because the Roosters, they let me down. But the one thing I know with the Roosters is they're a bit of an unders team. I know you're going to talk a lot about the unders.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm specifically targeting the first half. I've got under 18.5 points in this one. Everybody knows that the Bulldogs can't score points. Absolutely shithouse. And it's very clear that the Roosters can't score points in the first half. They score 75% of their points in the second half. I also made that statistic up to prove my point. But I'm taking under 18.5 points. That extra half point makes a big difference to me. So we're looking at 3 converted tries plus a penalty or 4 tries, which I don't see coming. The Bulldogs do compete. Like, I think in every game this year, they've kind of competed at the start, even against Penrith, from what I remember.
Yeah.
They competed.
Yeah, they did.
And then just, get blown away late. But I think very much the same. The Roosters are slow starters and the Bulldogs start very well. And I think those two combined and the fact that they're both unders teams leads me to believe that 18.5 is cash. Now, over to you. This game has 2 of your best bets, so you better have a PowerPoint presentation or something.
I do. Here we go, slide 1. For me, this game screams unders as a overall.
Is it too good to be true?
No, I don't understand why the market's so high, because the Roosters this season are averaging 19 points a game scored, and they're playing a team that averages 10 points scored. In the other side of it, the Roosters are only letting in 16 points per game, which is actually the 4th best defense in the comp, versus the Dogs, who are letting in 25 points. Yes, they do have the worst defense, but they're playing a team who's not scoring a lot of points. So the way I see, if you look at the Roosters, they're not blowing teams off the park, and you can get 11.5 on Sportsbet if you really take that. But the unders is I really like. I got 39.5 for the unders, and the big theory behind that is they're just going to keep it close, the Roosters, and I'm banking on the Dogs not scoring a lot of points. I probably will hit Dogs unders as well. The way the Roosters play in attack, and if you watch them, they do go a lot side to side. They do try and beat teams on the edges, which against teams who can defend well and defend their inside man and slide, they're gonna struggle to break down. Rabbitohs, for example, the Dragons yesterday, they did defend very well with their outside backs. Where they didn't go was through the middle enough, and where this Dogs team just play a shooting up and in defense. The edges, Addo-Carr, they're rushing every day of the week. Naden will shoot in. Those players just shoot in every time, because I don't think they trust their inside men, because they are a shit team at the end of the day. So that's what they do. And if there's a game that give you a good example is when the Roosters played the Cowboys. Cowboys play a similar style defense. Those defenses do work against average teams, but your stronger teams will beat them every time. So I think Roosters will beat them comfortably. I don't think they'll concede many, because the Dogs can't attack to save their life. And if you look at it yesterday, Dragons scored 1 try through the middle. Francis Moll does a very good run, but it was, again, a switch off from the defense.
State of origin player.
Yeah. And their other try came from a kick. Otherwise, Dragons scored 2 tries. That was it. So I think they can keep them to 1 try or even less, and put enough to cover the line as well. So that's why I think those 2 players, they're my 2 strongest players of the week, I think. And if for some reason it does go overs, which I don't think it will,
I'm thinking 24-10.
The Roosters definitely cover the line then if it goes overs, because it's not going. The Dogs are not going to score 20 points against the Roosters. So if it does go over the 39.5, the Dogs would have to score probably 22, 24 points. But the Roosters will cover the line anyway. So not that you'll still slightly be down, but I still think it's a free hit at the unders.
Yeah, I think in most cases when it comes to handicapping, people like to bet. If you're betting unders, you take the dog, and if you're betting the overs, you take the favorite.
Yeah,
but the line on this one's only 11.5.
Yeah,
whereas it's pretty short. I think it was blown out a little bit more. I do think that line's going to move, and 11.5 is delicious. It's if it's 12.5, you might think twice, but that 11.5 is absolutely moist. So
the other one is the Rabbitohs Manly is 39.5, and those 2 teams can score points occasionally. So Yeah, I just don't understand that line when the Roosters haven't played a solid 80 minutes all year up against the Dogs team, who probably haven't very lucky to be on a win right now, if you think about it. Like,
Yeah.
they could easily be winless. And to me, I still stand by what I said last week. I think last year's Bulldogs team beats this year's Bulldogs team. As crazy as that sounds. So
And you've got a bet on them to win the spoon, right?
Knights, no, I tipped Knights to
Oh, you
win
got
the
the
spoon.
Knights. Sorry.
And that was after round 2 looking horrible. But if there's a team that now it's come in, it's them with the Dogs. I still think the Dogs will. I think Dogs can jag a couple wins somewhere, but then again, depends on Origin if they go with Burton, for example. But if it's just Addo-Carr out, I'm sure they'll run into a team during Origin. Whereas I know for a fact Knights will be missing, Gagai Ponga,
Maybe one of the Safidi
the
brothers.
Safidi brothers. One of them will definitely be named, if not both. They will be down quite a bit. Frizzell, they are going to be missing players during Origin. There's a lot of Origin teams in that Newcastle team. Isn't that incredible where they're running? We just named a few of them.
Yeah, I know. They're going to have more Origin players than the Broncos.
That's mind blowing where they are on the ladder. So,
Jeez. All right, we'll take that. There's your best bets in the Dogs and Roosters. To wrap up your slutty Saturday, it's 7:05. It's a strange kickoff time.
it is.
Is that Darwin time or our time? What's going on there?
I don't know actually. It would be our
Sports
time.
has it at 7:05. I take that back.
Yeah, it'd be our time.
Okay, that's a strange one.
It is in Darwin though, so maybe it is Darwin time.
Well, Sportsbet still has it at 7:05 our time. So
yeah.
Anyway, 7:05 in Darwin. It's the Parramatta Eels versus the North Queensland Cowboys. Parramatta Eels $1.35 favourites. North Queensland at $3.25. The line is 9.5 points, and if you're looking at totals, it's 40.5. The Eels unchanged after the big win last week. Dylan Brown was excellent in the centres, and he's going to stay there.
That's ridiculous.
For the Cowboys, Todd Payton's named the exact same 17, but there could be a late reshuffle in the forward pack. Now, you've got...
I've got my best bet in this game. I'll take it while you're dying. Another best bet here. I'll start us off. I've got Parra minus 10.5. I still do not understand, firstly, how Dylan Brown gets moved to the centres, but he's going to stick with it apparently because it's the father-son thing, similar to Billy Walters and Kevy Walters. They seem to think that every son of a great NRL player or an NRL coach is going to be a god like Cleary. That's not the case, but I'm going to pick them for the same reasons I'm going with the Roosters to cover the line. I think Cowboys this season are very impressive to so far where they're at. They're literally sitting 5th on the ladder. I think not many people a lot of people tip them for the spoon or compete for the spoon. So I've picked them to get smashed this weekend just because of their draw this year. So if you look at who they've played so far this year, they've had a very easy run of games. They've played the Dogs, they've played the Raiders twice. So they played the team coming last, team coming second last twice. They've played the Broncos, who were 9th, and the Warriors as well. Again, the Warriors, you just saw last night how awful they are, and they're sitting 11th. Then they've happened to sneak a game in there against the Titans. Again, Titans are sitting 12th. The one game they've played against a top 8 team was the Roosters at home in Townsville after they thrashed the Broncos, after they were looking incredible, and they got smashed. So I think similar things going to happen. I think Para are going to be too good to drop another game. I know they do play Penrith next week, so people think maybe eyes on that, but I think they need to win this game and keep competitive. If they go up to Darwin and go through a bruiser, one thing which we could bet on is how many water bottles Brad Arthur have in front of him. He is notorious for stacking water bottles.
He'll do a dozen for sure.
And it's in Darwin, which is humidity.
He did that last year when they played in Darwin.
He literally had, it was incredible. Hope
he had a fortress.
Yeah, he was building a fortress. So yeah, I'm picking them to cover the line. That's my last of my best bets. What do you
got? I've chosen not to bet on this game. I know the Cowboys have only versed bottom tier teams, but they look pretty solid to me. Parramatta, great win last week, but I don't know. Do they get up for this game? It's just, I don't know. It seems like too much points, the 9.5 for my liking. I do like Drinkwater for the Cowboys. I think since he's been in, I know they're versus shit teams, but he's been fantastic because the Hammer doesn't have the ball playing skills that Drinkwater does. And Tommy Dearden like, I'm not going to say a bad thing about him for the rest of the year. He's proved me wrong. I don't wish we kept him.
First try scorer last week.
Yeah, and he's been doing a couple sneakies, but like
Mm.
even if we kept him and we had him at 6 and Reynolds at 7, because Tom Dearden's better than all the other halves that we have outside.
That's a good point. I was going to say, if you had Dearden and Reynolds in the halves, already that team. Yeah, that's a scarier Broncos team. But
yeah, because Dearden's great
coulda,
shot and
woulda,
go.
shoulda.
Yeah, what can you do, mate? But yeah, I just chose not to. Nano is going to be the reason that the Cowboys win. Probably the reason why they lose too. So we'll see how that goes. Taumalolo, he's been a freak. He's back, he's not back, but he's had a couple of JT games recently. Like, what, 250 odd meters? Like, he hasn't punched those numbers for a very long time.
No.
So, and he's doing his light stepping before the line and just exploding off his right foot. Like, he's looking real good. Reece Robson in my fantasy team, he's been solid. Hasn't scored as many tries as I thought he would, but even Helam Lukey, he's been pretty solid, but up against a Parramatta forward pack, which is absolutely fantastic, I must say. RCG, Marnie, Paolo, Lane, Papali'i, Nathan Brown. Yeah, Parramatta looking pretty strong on this one. So this is going to be a real test. So I think the Cowboys know that this is the toughest matchup they've had in quite a while since that Roosters game. So who knows? Todd Payton might have, found the recipe of success after absolutely shitting the bed in the past. Or they could be absolute pretenders. And I think after this game, we'll know. Yeah. And I promise you, if the Cowboys shit the bed in this one, the minute they verse a top 8 team, I'll back against them. I'll get straight on the Luke train. If it's top 8, we're off them. If it's the bottom 8, I reckon they're a good chance. So I'll back you in. I do like your analysis on this one. On to a seedy Sunday. You've got no bets left. All you have is unwavered opinions. That's all you've got.
This is where the money's made.
So, kicking things off at 2 p.m, McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle. It's the Newcastle Knights versus the Melbourne Storm. Storm are the shortest team in the round at $1.07. The Knights are at $9. The line is at 19.5. Total match points are at 41.5 points. Looking at the team list, the Knights have Dane Gagai. He fractured a cheekbone, so he's replaced by Simi Sasagi. So no Gagai. My goodness. Brodie Jones. He's named, but he might have an elbow injury. Suaso Su, new man on the bench, most likely to be put on report, I believe, in this match. For the Storm, there's no changes. They're pretty much backing up the same animals who destroyed the Warriors on Anzac Day. Before I ask you to tell me how this game's going to go, I think the better question is, why didn't you back Melbourne to win by more than 20?
Just purely on, I think it's very quick to jump on the form and go, oh, Melbourne will cover the 20 points here. I know Newcastle have been dog shit. But if you look at Melbourne this season, they only covered the 20 points one other time, and that was against the Dogs. I know it's the Dogs. But the Warriors, they've only done it twice in the first 7 games. They've actually, before that, they beat teams, but they don't blow them off the park. They put 44 on the Dogs, and the week after, they beat Canberra by 14. And Canberra, I think, are similar to the Knights. I don't think there's a huge difference between them. Round 1 against the Tigers, they only beat them by 10, and that's the 2 away games this season. So maybe on the road they're not as well. Amy Park is probably the second hardest ground to play at the moment, apart from Penrith.
It's top 3. Suncorp,
Suncorp, true, yeah, but everyone's played at Suncorp a lot lately because of COVID, so it's everyone's second home ground. And it will be in 2 weeks' time. I'll be there. So I think on the road, I think Melbourne aren't as good. I know Newcastle played at home against Para last week and absolutely shut the bed. And then they also shut the bed at home against Manly as well, a couple of weeks prior. But there has to be a point where this Newcastle team starts to look a little bit better. But for me, they haven't won a game since Ponga's been back. So I think when Ponga's injured or dropped, you just back Newcastle. Whatever line, just
everyone
back
else shit, he's not here.
Yeah, if anything, if he gets injured this week, and let's say Melbourne cover the
Well, he
line.
does. Doesn't he have a HIA every week?
He does. He goes down quite a fair bit. But if Melbourne cover the line, let's say they win by 22 points, and he doesn't get injured, versus if he does get injured and they would cover the line by 22 points, that line is going to go away from Newcastle if he's out. So, and I don't get it because they look so much better with Tex Hoy at fullback.
That's true.
But yeah, I'm just worried there that for some reason Newcastle keep it competitive, which they probably won't. But history does show us at Newcastle the last 2 times they have played there, Newcastle have covered that line. So that's why I'm steering away from it.
I see. Well, I have Melbourne as one of my best bets to cover this 19.5 points. My thought process around this is around the top teams really starting to find some form. That's the whole theory around it. They're starting to get better, and the gap's starting to widen up. Early on, a lot of games are a lot closer. Now we're seeing more and more blowouts as teams make adjustments to the rules. They see how other teams play. So you're seeing better clubs really stand out, and I think that comes to their preparation, their film, whereas early in the year it was a bit harder to tell, but the top teams are really starting to rise to the top. I reckon we start to see a lot of bigger score lines up until about State of Origin. So I've got a theory around that. There's no science behind it, but that's just what I'm thinking. Newcastle Knights, I reckon last week they would have thought we're a chance here. Parramatta dropped one against the Tigers. I think we're a chance. We can take them. And they got absolutely flogged. So they got demoralized. They got absolutely rinsed. They were giving bath upon bath, if you'd like to hear that terminology. But no, they got absolutely rinsed last week. And my other theory around this is that I've played competitive sports for 18 years of my life, right? And there's probably been 10 to 20 games that I've played where if you could bet on it, it'd be $1.07 odds for the other team, right? So I'm just putting myself in the shoes of a Newcastle Knight. Absolutely flogged last week. You're up against a team who's much better than the team that just flogged you. You've got no chance. There's not even a hope in the world that you think you can win it, right? So you kind of just you go to training just to get it. It's one of those things like, fuck, I just want to get through this week. It's like working during Christmas, you know? Like it's a great fun week, but you know you're not going to fucking hit your targets or whatever it is. You just want to get through it, you know? Just want to get to next week and you want to enjoy the weekend and your public holidays. I think the Knights have a similar mindset. They're not going to be training all week like, this is how we're going to win. Like, I don't think they have that approach. Whereas the Storm, they're going to be licking their chops. Great win last week. That spine is absolutely fantastic. And I just reckon they just run a train on them. I think Newcastle fans leave the game at halftime. I reckon half of them gone.
Big call.
Yeah. They're going to be watching something else. But look, it's just my opinion. And I'm wrong 40% of the time. So back against me if you wish. And roast me if I'm wrong. But this is the Melbourne Storm. We're peaking at the right time, and the Knights don't want it. The last game of the round, Channel 9 game gets this one. And if this was 3 weeks ago, I'd be throwing up at the thought of watching this game. Like 3 weeks ago, this is an absolute shocker. But given the recent form of both of these clubs, somewhat arousing. So 4 p.m. or 4:05 to be exact, at Wynn Stadium, it's the Dragons versus the West Tigers. The Dragons are at $1.54 favourites. The Tigers $2.50. The line is 4.5. Total points is 38.5 points. For the Dragons, Jack Bird has been named, despite believing he broke his arm, which is a bit of a strange one. Quick recovery. He's on the peptides. Jaden Sewer's been injured, so Josh Maguire is in. Oh, Tyrell Fuimayano is back on the interchange. Somebody's getting put on report there. Tyrell Sloan and Cody Ramsey among the reserves. Extremely unlikely to play. Stafford Toa comes in for the Tigers. So Dane Laurie's out. So Stafford Toa plays fullback. Oliver Gildart and Luke Garner in the centres. Not some great centres, but mate, they make it work. Kelma Tuolangi returns in the back row. That guy's really good.
He is, but he's in and out every week. He's had COVID. I mean, not COVID. He's had HIA 2 weeks now, and this was not a last minute, but he was dropped like from the team list like an hour before kickoff.
Oh, jeez.
Loves going in and out of games. That bloke.
He, he loves it. It's like somebody's fingers at two up.
Hmm.
He's in and out, but he's pretty good. He's a very talented young man. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this one? Dragons favorites, Tigers $2.50. Do you dare to have them as outsiders again? Both teams have won 2 in a row. What do you think?
And also the Tigers have beaten the Dragons, did the double over them last year. So there was a bogey team for the Dragons and a good team for the Tigers in a handful
They've
of
won their
wins,
last
wasn't it?
4.
They've beaten 4 straight. So this is a definite bogey team for the Dragons. And they just beat Para and South. But then every time this year where I've gone, now they should have an easy. This is the easiest game of the season. They've absolutely shit the bed against, usually, when I say that. But I would take the Tigers with the start. I think that's insane that a team that just beat Para and South, 2 top 8 teams, is a 4.5 point underdog against a team that beat the Roosters, fair play, a top 8 team. But they beat the Knights before that and then absolutely got romped again before that. So they haven't, for me, Tigers have been in the better form. Dane Laurie out. I don't think to be honest, Dane Laurie hasn't been as quality this year. It's
No, he hasn't.
Jackson
And Stark and
Hastings.
Toll was excellent at fullback.
It's Jackson Hastings that's doing all the work for them. And
He's pulling the strings.
Yeah, and he's linking up with Norfoluma. It's not, Laurie throwing that pass. He's been good, but don't get me wrong, he's not. I don't think he being out is a reason they would be plus 4.5. I think maybe plus 3.5, 2.5 if he was playing.
The bookies are worried about a bit of deception, I think, from the Tigers.
But I think I'd take the Tigers here. I think this is a game they can win. I think this is a game this is where if there wasn't any belief, 3 weeks ago, there's a fucking ton of belief now. So I'm taking them.
I reckon that's a good bet, and I'd take them too if I didn't have something better. Oh, I do have something better. You're right. There's a bit of a bogey team. Tigers have been slapping the Dragons for years now, despite their shit form for the last century or whatever it is. But I've got a bit of value in this one. If you're backing try scorers for a team that's an outsider, you get huge odds. So one thing I was thinking of just taking David Nofaluma anytime. It's $2.05, which, pretty solid in my eyes. He's got 5 tries this year compared to Fine. He's only got 2. So I'm taking Nofaluma to score more tries than Fine at $3.10. 4 of Nofaluma's tries have come in the last fortnight, whilst the Tigers have been winning. So if we're saying the Tigers are a good chance to win this one, Noff is going to go over. The Dragons, obviously, they score more down their right edge. They also give up a shit ton on their left edge, where Nofaluma lives and breathes. The Dragons' left side defense sucks. 45% of the tries that they allow are down that side. So I'm taking Nofaluma to score more tries than Fine at $3.10. I already have a same game multi in mind. I'm taking the Tigers 1-12, Noffa to score a double. I'm going to throw $50 on that thing. I'm not even going to use a bet return on it. That's how confident I am in that thing. But for my best bets, Nofaluma to score more than Fine at $3.10. Caps it off. Absolute legend. Sunday's going to be beautiful. I can't wait. Melbourne Storm to romp. Tigers get another famous victory. When was the last time they won 3 in a row?
Oh, you'd have to go back. I reckon at least 5 years. It'd be probably when Ivan Cleary was there. I feel like they went on a run when Ivan Cleary was there and they came 9th one of those seasons.
Yeah, and that's where Ivan Cleary was just building up his value.
Yeah, there was that season there. I think they were in the 8 at some point to begin with. So I think it was 2019, potentially. I think it was 2019 when they went on that little run, or maybe 2018. Yeah, it'd be 2018. Sorry,
it's been a long time.
Yeah, that's probably how far back you got to go. So
Jesus, what was it? 3 or 4 weeks ago when you asked me, are the Tigers going to win a game? Remember that? How? And I was like, I'm telling you, they're going to sneak up because their draw was pretty difficult. But I was like, because you were talking about it, they got Para, they got Roosters, and I was like, they're going to sneak up on some team, and they snuck up on both of them. They're cheeky bastards.
Fool me. I thought Penrith would lose a game before Tigers won a game personally, but that's been blown out of the window and the way it's going.
Because you thought Penrith at Magic Round was their chance to lose.
I
Right?
think so. I think Penrith at Magic Round. If they don't lose at Magic Round, then they'll definitely lose during Origin. Because they're going to have 7 or 8 players out again. You take 7 or 8 out of a 17, that's half a team. So I think Magic Round's going to be the big game, but it is at Suncorp, and they did beat them there last time. But I think it's a preview ahead, but that's a revenge game for Melbourne. Like Melbourne want to redeem themselves. Penrith, at that point, I think even if they lose, they'll still be top of the table, so they might not have the motivation. And my history stands. Penrith aren't the greatest team at Suncorp. I know they did win a grand final there. I get that, but you saw last year Melbourne pumped them at Suncorp as well, so they're not the best team at Suncorp.
Yeah, that's a good point. But look, it's going to be a great week of footy once again. I appreciate you spending all this time. I tried not to dribble, but I know that I have, just looking at the clock right now. But quick recap on our best bets. If you made it this far and you were too stupid to write these down a little bit earlier and you missed every single game when we gave you the best bet, if you're that much of a fucking idiot, write this one down or chuck it straight into your betting apps right now. We're taking the total points over 41 and a half Broncos v Sharks. We're taking under 18.5 in the first half for the Bulldogs v Roosters. We're taking Melbourne to cover the 19.5 line. And I've got Nofaluma to score more tries than Max Fine. I've got $50 on this cheeky little bastard. It pays $20.25 as your odds. You're looking at over $1,000 as a win. What a great way to cap off your weekend. Luke, give us a quick summary of yours.
Sharks minus 11.5 against the Broncos.
Rude.
There's a double with the Roosters. Minus, you can either go 13.5, 12.5, 11.5, depending on the bookie. Under 39 or 38.5, depending on which in that same game against the Dogs. And then Para minus 10.5 versus the Cows. You put all them in a multi, you get about 15.5 to 1. So very juicy.
I can feel it. I can feel it in my loins. It's coming. Who knows? We might both hit, and we're going to be spewing. We didn't put them together.
Yeah, we should start doing that, actually.
Spewing. Like, what are the odds? What are the odds for this multi? Right? Just jump on Sportsbet right now and go straight into the Dogs game. Just that one alone. If you go
Dogs
under
game.
18.5 points, total unders, Roosters to cover. Well, we got double unders, so it probably won't be huge.
It wouldn't be too bad. Roosters minus 11.5 on Sportsbet, under 39.5. And then first half points under 18.5 is 475. Then you had, we're going to be quick here. We had minus 11.5. Oh, they have 10.5 Sharks on Sportsbet.
Oh, see, the Broncos fans are coming in.
Into the overs, over 41.5. It's 287. Then I had Para minus 11.5. You stayed clear of that game. Para minus 9.5 on Sportsbet. I'm getting cucked here on these other bookies. Sportsbet are trumps this week so far. What other games did you have?
Storm to cover.
Nofaluma,
more tries than Fine.
Nofaluma, more tries than Fine. Where are we? Tries market. Oh, no, it's player markets, isn't it?
Yep.
A versus B. Group 2. For those of you playing at home, it is Group 2 on Sportsbet. All up there, if we put all them together, get 152 to 1.
I reckon that's fair.
Yeah, it's
only 8 legs.
That's a reasonable price. And to be fair, we've been 2 legs off. We've gone 6 and 2 the last couple of weeks. So it's not bad off a 151 multi, missing by 2 legs.
That's true. Well, let's celebrate our wins next week when we next catch up. Let's wrap this thing up because your boy's got some research he needs to do. Thank you all for listening. If you made it this far, as previously mentioned, jump into the Discord. It's free to join. The link is in the description. Follow us on Dabble, Facebook, and Instagram. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.